and he's so complex that he had to be created. It wasn't necessarily my argument, but it was brought to the table by someone else. Anyways, he came up with this concept that I didn't know really how to debate. In any case, is the principle of totality or totality. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it in English. Basically, it says that God doesn't need a cause to exist. It just exists because itself.
That's not a concept. That's just an excuse. You know, you could just say, if your friend says that to you, say, fine, the universe doesn't need a cause in order to exist.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I mean, two can play at that game. And the advantage is there's evidence that the universe does exist. You know?
Yeah, well, he came up with saying, well, we don't have a time machine to go back in time and see what happened really.
So what?
So what? Just because we don't know a thing doesn't mean that we're justified in making shit up and then labeling that as the answer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. At some point, he was giving me all these examples of how God doesn't need really to be explained, because we can go down to the point in which we have to say, well, I don't know.
Yeah, but again, just because you don't know doesn't mean you therefore get to make something up and say that's the explanation.
Right, and if he's satisfied saying, well, some stuff just can't be explained, then he shouldn't be asking the questions in the first place about, well, how can you explain the universe?
And he's not really
he's
saying...
not being honest with you.
He's not being honest. He's saying we get to a point where we have to say, I don't know, and then he doesn't say, I don't know, does he? He says God did it. He says he knows that his God did it, which is cheating. He either knows or he doesn't know.
Yeah, understood, yeah. Actually, I was trying to... Well, I have the conversation over the Internet. I don't really have it face-to-face.
Yeah.
It's like a blog type of thing. A video blog, actually. So, yeah, at some point I had to tell him, well, if you don't know, that's the best... That's exactly what I told him. That's the best way to go about it and be honest and say, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that his answer will be at some point, well, if you don't know, how can you know that God didn't do it?
Well, so, he'll say that, but then the point is that it's not that we know that God didn't do it. It's that we know there is evidence of what went on at the time of the Big Bang, and that is actual evidence that is being studied by scientists, and that evidence is not leading in the direction of an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent creator God. It's leading in weird, bizarre quantum physics directions, which are strange, but you don't get the Christian God out of that. So, the only way you're going to move off of the position of I don't know is by finding out. And you don't find out by just making up God. You find out by looking at the evidence.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I know you guys refer people to a website. What is it called? That has all the information about all the scientific information about how the universe was.
It's talkorigins.org. It's a site that was composed to basically collect information put out there on the news group talk.origins. And one of the best things that they have on that site is a giant, it's called the Index to Creationist Claims. If you Google that, it'll probably take you straight to Talk Origins.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Well, that was pretty much it, and thank you for taking my call.
Great. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Memo.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I've mentioned in the past that there are a number of topics we can bring up which are guaranteed to get lots of atheists riled up because not all of us agree with each other about particular things.
Yeah.
One of those topics is 9/11 conspiracy theories, and another one is objectivism.
Oh, no, objectivism?
both you and I disagree with, and a lot of our viewers obviously do agree with.
Fantastic.
We've got a caller who wants to talk about that, and it's Andrew in Dallas.
Yes, and
hi, Andrew.
Hi, and yeah, I do. I've been watching your show for a while, and I really like what you have to say, and I agree with almost everything you have to say.
Almost. Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I remember watching the show you did on objectivism, and you actually said you did agree with Ayn Rand on metaphysical and epistemological claims. Is that right?
I mean, I don't disagree with Ayn Rand about everything she ever said.
Right. Well, you agree with her that reasons man's only guide to action, or correct? You can only guide your way through life using your reason. Would you agree with that? Her epistemological view on those points.
I'm not.
But, I wouldn't, because clearly there are a lot of people who blunder their way through life without doing that.
I guess the real question would be:
if you're asking whether that's the best thing to do, is that what you're saying? That is the better way to behave?
The proper way to live their life is.
Sure.
I would say that I prefer
and if they don't
that.
use reason, that would be very harmful to them.
Sure.
Sure.
You would agree with that. All right.
Well,
so you basically,
we had previous callers that brought up the life expectancy thing as evidence that religiosity is not necessarily that harmful, at least in that arena. So, harmfulness is a complex issue that we'd have to look at separately.
Right.
Right.
But anyway, go on.
But you would agree that every person in the world would have to use reason.
Where do you get have to?
Clearly not.
They don't have to use reason?
A lot of them don't.
In order to live.
Right.
You mean that you can...
Well, I mean, would you say that? Would you say that?
Well, there are people who eat because they're hungry, as opposed to eating because they realize they need food in order to survive.
Yeah. Would you say that my cat goes through life with reason?
I think if you need to get food, you have to use reason.
Well, again, would you say that my cat uses reason to get through life?
Well, you're not. Reason is for human beings. I mean, I think.
Well, okay, then my cat goes around eating just fine, right?
Not for animals, because animals, are born with these instincts, such as a bird can be born knowing how to build a nest, but humans are not born knowing how to build a house. They have to use their reason in order to.
Humans don't have to have a house in order to live.
Well, they have to have. Shelter in order to live, and
that's true, and so does my cat.
And humans have no instincts that would lead them to shelter if they were out in the wilderness on their own?
Sorry?
Humans have no instinct to seek shelter?
I think they have no instinct on how to build shelter.
And didn't we just agree? Didn't we just agree they don't need to build shelters? There's shelter to be found in nature. Right. There was a point at which our early hominid ancestors weren't building houses either, dude.
Sorry?
There was a point at which our hominid ancestors weren't building houses either.
Right.
You're not going to be able to partition off animals from humans and say that special rules apply to humans that don't apply to animals.
Yeah, especially
that's not going to work.
Especially if you're going to accept.
I thought we'd get a lot deeper into this before we encountered some stuff that was completely freaking crazy.
Well, especially if you're going to accept the scientific idea of evolution, which says that there's not really some magical dividing line between humans and animals. There's just a matter of degree. I mean, reasoning happens to be our niche, but there is some kind of rudimentary reasoning capability.
You were much better off when, for a moment, you seemed to agree that what you should be saying is only that, using reason to survive is better than not using it. If that was all you were saying, I think Russell and I would agree. But you keep saying have to, and as soon as you say have to, we are off on a magical journey examining the relationships between humans and animals.
Well, I think that if you don't use reason, you're eventually going to. You cannot survive for very long. You're gonna.
And that's why no animals in nature survive very long.
Right. So.
Dude, no, wrong. That's false.
Right. Well, I guess I'm not understanding your argument then.
Yeah, I guess you're not.
All right.
Thanks for your call.
Wait a minute. I want to actually get. Okay, we don't agree.
I think that when we
don't agree on this point.
All right.
Well, but what's the point? Why go on to other points? Is this like fundamental to your case? Is this fundamental to your case?
Your argument is because you basically agree that if man doesn't use reason, he's going to die. I mean,
no,
pretty quickly.
We didn't agree with that.